We are the Debt Detectives. Unmasking Public Debts.
Hey everyone! Welcome to Debt Detectives. Today, we're tackling a topic that affects everyone, whether we realize it or not, public debt. But don't worry because we're not here to scare you with numbers and doom and gloom. We're here to break it down, make it relatable, and maybe even a little fun. So grab your thinking cups and let's embark to this financial adventure. Let's go!
Okay, let's start with the basic. What exactly is public?
Basically, it's money the government borrows to pay for the things like school, roads, hospital, even the national defense. Think of it like a loan for the country.
Ah, I see. Unlike your personal loan, it doesn't get paid off overnight. It is spread over years or even decades. But we all contribute through taxes.
So, imagine the government is juggling credit cards for all these projects. It's not always bad, but it's important to manage it wisely.
Borrowing means that I could be in debt. And for a lot of people, that can be intimidating. But debt is really just a way of borrowing money with the promise of paying it back with interest. That sounds okay, right? Unless I would take out a big loan that I couldn't pay back. People take out loans all the time to buy houses, cars, to pay for school, all sorts of things. And it's not just people. Companies also borrow, and governments do it too. When a government borrows, it's called public debt or sovereign debt. Governments raise this money by issuing bonds and then selling them to the public with a guarantee that they'll pay them back. Just like people, countries need money to buy or build stuff that their income, mostly tax revenues, won't entirely pay for. Governments should invest their money wisely in things that help their citizens. Think of education or healthcare. Governments can also invest in things that will generate revenue or grow the economy, like infrastructure projects. Governments can also use the money to reduce taxes, or they can give it directly to its citizens who need the support.
Ah, so yun pala ang public debt. Now, let's hit the streets and see what people think about public debt. Kristine, your turn.
Excuse me, sir. Pwede ka bang interviewin?
Sure.
Anong course mo?
BSBA.
Business Administration. So you know about public debt?
Honestly, not much. All I know is it's kind of scary.
Don't worry. It's not a monster under the building. Andito kami para magpaliwanag. Think of it like your family budget. You might borrow a big purchase, but you also need to make sure you can afford the payments.
Exactly. And just like your budget, managing public debt is about balancing needs with resources.
One of Hume's most lasting contributions is his warning against allowing politicians to finance their spending through debt. Hume argued that public debt ultimately leads to ruin, both because it allows politicians to provide benefits to voters today at the expense of the next generation, and because debt can threaten a country's sovereignty if the borrowing is financed by foreigners. Let's explore each of these warnings with an example. Politicians in the made-up country of Debtland promise an expensive new government program at no cost to voters today, because all of the new program's cost will be paid for by borrowing. Enough voters like the idea of the new program to elect the politicians. But what the politicians didn't tell the voters, and what the people who supported the expensive program failed to understand, is that the next generation will bear the cost of the program. Hume saw this as an inappropriate use of government power to grant benefits to people today at the expense of the next generation, who have no say in the decision. In other words, the next generation is being handed a bill for something they don't benefit from and had no voice in approving. But Hume also warned that it wasn't just immoral to provide benefits today at the expense of the next generation. Public debt can also weaken a nation's sovereignty. Back to our example. Let's say Debtland is in trade negotiations with Prudentia, a country that's been financing most of Debtland's borrowing over the years. Prudentia and Debtland do not enter the trade talks as equals because Debtland is beholden to Prudentia to continue financing its borrowing. It was for these reasons that Hume wrote, "Either the nation must destroy public credit, or public credit will destroy the nation." A warning that is just as relevant today as it was 250 years ago in Hume's time.
Great point! Balancing the needs of today while considering the impact on the future is a challenge governments face. Now, let's explore some strategies to manage public debt responsibly.
Number 1. Responsible spending. Government must prioritize investment that stimulate economic growth and improve long-term prospects.
Strategic investments in infrastructure, education, and healthcare can boost productivity and contribute to economic development.
It's not about cutting spending across the board. It prioritizes investment that generate returns for the economy.
Number 2. Effective taxation. A fair and efficient tax system ensures that the burden is distributed equitably among citizens and businesses.
Closing loopholes, combating tax evasion, and ensuring everyone pays their fair share can increase government revenue without stifling economic growth.
Let's now move on to our next topic, which are do's and don'ts of public debts. So, what are some debt do's for our government?
Invest wisely, borrow things that benefits everyone in the long run, not just for short-term fixes.
And what are some debt don'ts?
And remember, we, the citizen, have a voice. Hold your elected official accountable for responsible debt management.
Serbisyong buwis, handog ng pag-asa. Sa bayad mo, buhay ng bayan sinusunod.
Kasama sa pag-angat, buwis na tapat. Lahat magbabayad, lahat nag-aabang.
Ang buwis mo, pundasyon ng pag-asa. Sa pagbabayad, sama-sama tayo sa pag-asenso.
Bayad na buwis, bansay unlad, bawat kaltas, hakbang sa kaunlaran.
Thanks for joining us on this debt detecting journey. We hope you feel a little more informed and empowered. Public debt is a complex issue, but by understanding it and holding our leaders accountable, we can ensure a brighter financial future for everyone. Remember, knowledge is power, and financial literacy is the key to unlocking a debt-free future.
Pay your taxes. Help our country. Iangat ang Pilipinas!
But don't worry, because we're not here to scare you with numbers of doom and gloom.
Practically, it's a government money.
Excuse me, sir. May I ask you a question?
Sumagot ka!
It's not about cutting spending across the board. It prioritizing investment that generates revenue and investment.
Number 2. Effective taxation. A fair and efficient tax system ensures that the burden is distributed equitably among